You won't find it there. Sure, I'll take you to the shack. You won't see it, but it's there. There's a town in the Pine Barrens, traveler, or maybe there isn't. By all accounts, Ongs Hat exists. There's an Ongs Hat Road. There's an Ongs Hat Rat Trail. There's the town of Ong. There is documentation, maps, stories of the settlers of Ongs Hat. There's even a story of how the town got its name. Jacob Ong was a stylish man and, for all intents and purposes, the founder of the town of Ong. He had a penchant for nights out with the ladies. Dudes rock. During a dance in Ong, a jealous lover found out that Jacob was two-timing her. The lover stomped on his hat after knocking it off his head, took it outside, and threw it as high as she could into a tree, and from that tree was birthed the town of Ongs Hat, an unassuming, unincorporated, very small town that would dwindle to ghost town status. And as a ghost town, Ongs Hat would be the perfect cover for interdimensional travel. The following series of events are cobbled together from sporadic work found around the internet, my personal Bible, Weird New Jersey, Wikipedia, and some delusional profiteer by the name of Joseph Matheny. First, a little backstory on the town of Ongs Hat. The town dates back, according to Wikipedia, to the 18th century, where it was an outpost for Hessian soldiers. You know, the Headless Horseman, that guy. Anyway, it developed into a bustling hub at a point. Prior to the advent of the public railroad, Ongs Hat was known for two things: bootlegging New Jersey's best alcohol and prize fighting, and the two went together very, very well. This tradition would continue in New Jersey, in Atlantic City, all the way to the 1980s. According to sources, though, with the advent of the train and the railroads going around Ongs Hat, and with the military base, Fort Dix, moving in nearby, Ongs Hat kind of went by the wayside. A skull was found at the turn of the 20th century, figured to be one of the last residents of Ongs Hat. Nearby sheriffs were befuddled. The case, to this day, remains unsolved. According to Wikipedia, in a book put out in 1961, there was one person left in the unincorporated town, and when he went, so did the town of Ongs Hat. That is, of course, until the time that was the 1970s. The following accounts have been taken from the Incunabula papers, but take them with a grain of salt, traveler, as the only person who has ever seen these papers is that damned Joseph Matheny. Wali Fard, or as Wikipedia weirdly has it, Ford, but I'm gonna go with the pronunciation, in Weird New Jersey, Wali Fard was a beatnik or a jazz musician or both from Newark, New Jersey, and a couple of other renegade beatnik poet jazz musicians. In the late 1950s, got a case of the wanderlust, but also a case of the spirituality. They would go on to create the Moorish Orthodox Science Temple as their new religion. As they all bounced around, especially Wali, in 1978 he was sick of his wanderlust and frankly wanted something more, something not in this world. So in 1978 he took what savings he had and he purchased 200 acres of wooded area in the New Jersey Pine Barrens. Funny enough, a couple of $100 went a long way in 1978 in New Jersey. Kinda still does, except in Atlantic City. And with that, in 1978, he began to recruit runaways and, quote, lesbian anarchists into his new religion, which he subsequently dubbed the Moorish Science Ashram. The ashram had a few purposes to it. 1. Complete independence off the grid from the state. 2. Total spiritual consciousness. 3. The science of understanding that spiritualism. And 4. Weaponizing that spiritualism to the point where it could be quantified, thus unlocking telekinetic and psychic gifts in all. In addition to the lesbian anarchists, Wali was aided by the twins, Frank and Althea Dobbs, the Dobbs twins. They themselves have a very crooked origin story. Originally from Texas, their father brought them up inside a strange UFO cult. They escaped and ended up in Princeton University, eventually graduating with doctorates and coming back as professors. However, their time as professors were short-lived, as they presented the dean with a series of crackpot theories on interdimensional travel. Feeling that the heat was on them after they were laughed out of Princeton, they escaped south to the Pines. Wali Fard welcomed the twins with open arms, and thus they began their 3-year building of a laboratory for experimentation. They would dub their theory cognitive chaos. Once the laboratory was built, they designed a sensory deprivation chamber, all white, that they dubbed the Egg. And during testing, one of the runaways climbed into the egg and disappeared for 7 minutes. When the egg reappeared, the runaway had not only traveled through time, but through space to another dimension, where he was spat out into another Ongs hat, but this one was devoid of human life. When he came back, he told everyone about it. They dubbed this incident the Gate. Fard printed out his papers and began to stick them on bulletin boards and Wawas all over South New Jersey, and soon more and more people came to Ongs Hat. But there was another issue, and that would be the nearby military base of Fort Dix. It's alleged that there was a chemical spill. It's also alleged that something escaped the laboratory inside the fort and made its way towards the ashram. No matter the case, one particular cold day in the early 1980s, 8 of the members of the ashram were gunned down mysteriously. Some say it was Delta Force, according to Weird New Jersey. Others say it was Fort Dix. And some say it was whatever this thing that had escaped the fort was. Well, the members of the ashram had only one thing they could do. They said their tearful goodbyes to whomever they had left in this dimension, and they escaped. Not outward, as Weird New Jersey says, but inward. Inward to the next dimension, where they have started their utopia, and they only return to gather supplies and tell people of their experiments, even to this day. But what of our Ongs Hat, traveler? Can we go to it? Is there a shack? Can we find the egg? I'm glad you asked. So here's how we get to Ongs Hat. First, you're going to see a package store. Don't bother asking the package store for directions, and don't bother asking them about the shack. They won't know what you're talking about, or they've been sworn to secrecy. Head down the road a little bit. You won't see the Ongs Hat road sign anymore. Someone stole it. I wonder why. Take the road down, and this is Ong. Do not park in Ong. No one will let you into Ong. You have to take a left here and pull over. This is Ongs Hat and Ongs Hat Rack. This is where we're going to begin. Pull over, take it all in, and listen for vibrations. Failing that, journey into the woods. If you go deep enough, you might just find the shack. And maybe inside you'll find the egg. Though no one ever does. It's just an old urban legend, right? Well, here's the thing. While I was producing this video, everything seemed normal until the birds stopped tweeting, and I didn't hear the road anymore. I got dizzy all at once, and I heard a loud ringing noise in my ears. According to the camera, everything went black. But when I awoke, here it is, traveler. The shack! The gate! I found it after all these years! It's real! And as I got up, and I began to walk to the shack, I heard that ringing again, and I dropped to my knees. And when I looked up, it was gone. But it's real, traveler. Ongs Hat is real. The ashram is real. They're still here with us. Somewhere. We just can't see them. So on your journey to Ongs Hat, I wish you well. Please stay safe. Look out for that shack. If you're lucky, you won't find it. Or maybe you will. And one last thing. Happy April 1st. I am the Reverend Victor S. Johnson. This is my producer, Dudley. Safe travels, traveler.